Hello everyone, and welcome to 4KB Shorts Let's Play of BioShock Infinite. Now, BioShock Infinite is of course the third installment of the BioShock series, as well as the fifth installment of the Shock series as a whole, including System Shock 1 and 2, BioShock 1 and 2, and then BioShock Infinite. Now, unlike the original System Shock titles, BioShock, each of the BioShocks, puts a spotlight on some aspect of human nature and human culture, where BioShock 1 dealt with capitalism and the rampant, uncontrolled growth of capitalism when those in power of the company are also in power of the government. And there's no checks and balances, and basically, Andrew Ryan, being in control of most of the wealth and most of the capitalistic businesses, is starting to be overrun, and instead of being a good businessman and just taking it, he then throws his power as the leader of the people behind it and tries to take down his competition through war, which of course destroys his creation. Now, in BioShock 2, it's the same city, it's Rapture, but it deals with the socialist problem, where instead of the capitalism destroying everything, it comes down to the socialist side, where socialism versus capitalism, and a review kind of on that, which then, of course, did boil down to a sort of totalitarian control between a mother and her daughter, so it kind of had that whole Freudian thing in there as well, but it wasn't so bad. It was interesting, but it could have done well to be in its own world. Now, as for BioShock Infinite, it takes us out of Rapture, and it puts a huge spotlight on classism and racism, which you don't normally see in video games, because when you attack something like classism and racism, more racism than classism, you shine a spotlight on yourself where people can come forth and attack you. And I am going to go ahead and put this out right away and say that BioShock Infinite and 2K Games really did a number on the subtlety of the way racism is displayed in this game. And if you're not paying attention, you can miss it. But if you know what you're looking for, or even just happen to look in the right place at the right time, you can see it, and it is excellent, because they don't pull any punches, really. I mean, they do in some places, like certain derogatory terms and things like that aren't used, but when it comes to many of the things in the game, they throw it out there in your face, and you can smell it, that undertone of resentment and hatred between skin colors and well, races and things like that, accents and whatnot. So, I want to go ahead and give you guys a couple of heads up about the game before we start. We're going to go ahead and start so that we don't get into the intro here. I have played the game all the way through to the end prior, so I know mostly what's going to happen if I can remember it. The second thing is there is no way to manually save, so everything is based off of checkpoints. I will try to end each video as close to a checkpoint as possible depending on the time, but if that happens, if I have to go over a checkpoint, or if there's a new checkpoint on the other side, I may have to play small sections of the game over again to get back to where we were in the video. If that happens, some things may change, such as how much ammunition we have, how much money we have, how much health we have, for reasons because the crates and boxes that I may have to search through will have randomly generated content, so we may get more money, more health, less health, so on. So if there's a little bit of difference between each video, that will be why. Also, because BioShock Infinite is, to me, the penultimate of the BioShock series, and the Shock series as a whole, there is so much information I just want to throw out to you. I just want to throw it out to you all right now. I want to start shouting from the rooftops about how great and glorious this game is, and talk about all the things I saw in the game and everything, but I have to hold it in. I have to hold it in. So if I'm stuttering, if I get all excited, if I talk over myself, if I'm doing what I'm doing right now, it's because this game excites me. To play this game excites me so much. And it's not the gameplay, it's the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere, not even the story, it's the world in which it's placed. And we'll get into that. We'll get into that, but super important that you guys know that this game excites the crap out of me. So I really want to throw that out there because I just get so excited playing this game. So let's go ahead and start. And as I said, I have already played it all the way through to the end, so I know what's coming. You guys should know what's coming too. And I'm going to talk about the game. I'm going to talk about it as if we don't care about spoilers, because I'm going to assume you've either played it, or you've seen it, or you know what's going to happen, and you already have had the game either spoiled for you, or you've experienced it for yourself. So I'm going to be doing more of an analysis, much like I did with the original BioShock 1 and 2, than I am a let's play as if, oh, that's cool, oh, that's cool, no, I didn't know that happened. I'm not going to play it like that. I want to throw that out there as well, that I'm going to play it as if I see something. I'm going to say, well, this is what this means, and this explains this, and this is how I feel about that. So, again, this game excites the crud out of me. So, let's just go ahead and get into the game. So, we're going to do a new game. Yes, we want to override our old game. And we're going to do medium, and the reason for medium is, of course, because I have played the game previously, but we're not going for any hardcore achievements. It does use a checkpoint system, and I don't want to die and have to go back to a checkpoint. Well, dying doesn't make you go back to a checkpoint, but the less we die, the more fluid the gameplay is and the more fun it is. So medium for a challenge, but not too hard so we don't end up dying a lot. And even on medium, we're going to die a few times, believe me. So let's go ahead and start and get in there.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
No. But I'm afraid of you.
The mind of the subject will desperately struggle to create memories where none exist. Barriers to transdimensional travel. R. Lutece, 1889.
Are you going to just sit there?
As compared to what? Standing?
Not standing, rowing.
Rowing? Hadn't planned on it.
So you expect me to shoulder
What's
the
this?
burden?
No, but I do expect you to do all the rowing.
And why is that?
Coming here was your idea.
My idea.
I've made it very clear that I don't believe in the exercise.
The rowing.
No? Imagine that's wonderful exercise.
Then what?
The entire thought experiment.
Excuse me. How much longer?
One goes into an experiment knowing one could fail.
But one does not undertake an experiment knowing one has failed.
Can we get back to the rowing?
I suggest you do,
No,
or we're never going to get there.
No, I mean I'd greatly appreciate it if you would assist.
Perhaps you should ask him. I imagine he has a greater interest in getting there than I do.
I suppose he does, but there's no point in asking.
Why not?
Because he doesn't row.
He doesn't row.
No, he doesn't row.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Well, at least one of us does. Although that sentence, those sentences in that entire conversation will become more clear as time goes on.
Right.
Oh good! Now I'm really excited. That is a very pretty lighthouse. We're gonna sit for a minute so they'll yell at me.
He's not moving.
He will, eventually.
I suppose he does.
Such an interesting way of speaking. Now, I love the water. The water is so beautiful. Too bad we don't get to see more of it, but maybe that's why it's so beautiful. Making it beautiful all the time is too hard.
Shall we tell him when we'll be returning?
Would that change anything?
It might give him some comfort.
At least that's something we can agree on.
Hey! Is somebody meeting me here?
I'd certainly hope so.
It does seem like a dreadful place to be stranded.
Well, maybe there's someone inside.
Well, goodbye, strange people in a boat. I'll miss you. Although we do have some boats around here. If we ever wanted to leave, we could just craft some oars and head back, I suppose. I mean, there's enough wood where we can craft some kind of oar. And we have fully functional boats. 2 of them, indeed. Well, if we remove the water from one. I love the rain. I love the swells. I love this. To live on a lighthouse would be scary, but it would be fun. Alright, we're not going to go inside the door just yet, because there's some stuff we can hijack over here. Provisions! Whenever I see these barrels, I am reminded of Donkey Kong for some reason. Maybe that's just the way barrels work because of that reason. Did they stop? Or they still... Oh, no, they're still going. Bye, nice people. Enjoy yourselves or whatever. DeWitt, bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. This is your last chance. The blood's a little disconcerting.
Excuse me. It's Booker DeWitt. I guess you're expecting me?
No gods or kings, only man. Of thy sins shall I wash thee. Use basin. Oh, why not?
Good luck with that, pal.
Booker's not a big fan of being washed of his sins. Or maybe he thinks, from his statement, it sounds like he thinks he has too many sins to be washed away of them, you know? It's like this little basin is not enough to wash away all my sins. So there's some water, a random puddle of water just here for no reason. From Sodom shall I lead thee.
Is anyone here? Hello?
This is really fun music. So go ahead and search some of these cabinets, grab some food. Be prepared, he's on his way. You must stop him, see. And there's Columbia, and these are all the routes it takes to Georgia and Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Missouri, Chicago even, in Illinois. New York, twice in New York, but it stops by in Maine once. Looks like it goes to Delaware or Rhode Island. And then Washington, D.C. and North Carolina. So that's nice. Not sure why you can use this phone. Maybe it's to give you that feeling that you're disconnected from the world. Although you do get a dial tone, but no operator, which is odd in 1912. You should get an operator, not a dial tone. Okay, we'll grab some stuff. We'll just take a look around, grab some stuff. Hot water! I'll turn it off. We're not going to be an eco-terrorist today. Although, we do have a problem here. Blood, potatoes, and broken plates. Never a good sign. To thine own land shall I take thee. Well, somebody took someone somewhere. Ooh, the red hand was here. Poor guy. And there it is. So we found our first victim.
Shit.
Don't disappoint us. Yeah. You know, knowing the game the way I do, I wonder who this is. I mean, you think he's the lighthouse operator. I mean, he was eating, and now he's up here, and he's tortured with a bullet in his head. You have to wonder, whoever wants us to get to Columbia probably killed him to make sure he couldn't stomp us. But honestly, why would they have to torture him? Is it just because they wanted to send a message to DeWitt? And if so, wow. You know? Now, I did find this interesting. Ticking clocks. Throughout the entire game, you will find ticking clocks. They all tick. They don't change. I don't believe it changes the time there on the minute hands or the hour hands. Or does it? Maybe it does. It's hard to say. You'd have to stand here long enough to tell, but basically the clock works, or at least works more than most clocks do in video games. And here's the thing about clocks in video games, or anything in a video game. If it works, if it's plugged in, if it has a cord going somewhere, that's important. I still don't know why the clocks are important, but the fact that throughout the entire game you can find ticking clocks, yes, it does work. The minute hand is moving. So even the minute and hour hands move. So time is ticking away. So I don't know what the purpose of the clocks are for, but they exist, and they tick, and they work, and that is important somehow, because if you take the time to make a clock work in a video game, you want it to work for a reason, though I'm still not sure why. In New Eden soil shall I plant thee. I'd rather just go back to Maine if I could. I'm assuming we're off the coast of Maine. Oh yeah, we are off the coast of Maine. It's the 1912 coast of Maine. Yeah, I just wasn't reading. So yeah, we are off the coast of Maine, so I'd just rather go back to Maine proper, if that's okay. The bells! But before we deal with the bells, we're going to go this way. We're going to go over here, and more provisions. Alright, we'll grab those. 15 whole silver eagles. Go us. Alright, so now we have the bells.
Wait a minute, that card.
1, 2, 2.
What in the world is...
I am reminded of the scene from Close Encounters. Shouldn't this be taking place at Devil's Tower? Hey, bye-bye, lighthouse. Now, I've seen barber chairs. I've seen a lot of barber chairs, and I can tell you that...
Alright. Looks like they expect me to sit in their fancy chair.
You call it fancy, I call it scary. That is a scary chair. That chair just screams you're gonna die. It's like a cross between a barber chair and an electric chair. Or a torture chair. I mean, even without the arm clamps, it would be scary. And yes, I have noticed the arm clamps every single time. They're not exactly hidden or anything. Alright, Booker, there's only one way to go, and that's in.
So now... What the hell? Go!
Make yourself ready, Pilgrim. The bindings are there as a safeguard.
This can't be good. No, God damn it!
Ascension. Ascension in the count of 5. Count of 4.
No.
3, 2, 1.
No!
Ascension. Ascension.
Just stay calm.
5,000 feet. 10,000 feet. 15,000 feet. Hallelujah.
So, a quick note, apparently heaven can be found at 15,000 feet. I do like how we still have the pod thing going on, but we go up instead of down. Well, going back down now. And parachute. I love the dirigibles! Look at that thing, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? It's the most beautiful thing ever, just fly around in one of those. That would be, if air travel had gone that way instead of airplanes, I would be okay with it. Especially if you could own private dirigibles, that would be great. Little RVs in the sky. Father Comstock, our prophet, and our adversary. Which is obvious. The first face you see, of course, is going to be the one that you are adverse to. Why would he send his savior unto us, if we will not raise a finger for our own salvation? And though we deserve not his mercy, he has led us to this new Eden. A last chance for redemption. See, now you think that's talking about God, but in all honesty, I think it's talking about Father Comstock. This whole city has a feeling of Buddhism to it, if only in the fact that instead of worshipping God, they all worship men. They either worship Father Comstock or they worship one of the founders. And the prophet shall lead the people to the new Eden. So where a lot of this talks about his and he, you can think of it as God, but in all honesty, I think it's all about Father Comstock. Which is interesting, because, as I said, it has a Buddhist feel to it. Not Buddhistic, a Buddhist feel to it, but is a little bit more twisted. I also love the fact that you step out of here into water. Now, I know that the whole point and purpose of this is to demonstrate that you're being baptized in some way, you're being purified by the waters of God, and so on and so forth, except for the fact that you have to remember, this is a BioShock game. We just got into a lighthouse, into a pod, got shot straight into the sky, and we step off into water. It brings a sense of familiarity between this and Rapture, where the place is flooding. It feels like it's flooding. Whether purposefully or on accident, there's water coming down from a place and flooding this whole room. So we have the word of the prophet. So that's our hymn book, I suppose.
The seed of the prophet.
The seed of the prophet shall sit the throne and drown in flame the mountains of man. I'm not sure why it says sit the throne. I know that's proper English. It really is. It's old English, but it's proper English. Rather than sit on the throne, it's sit the throne and drown in flame the mountains of man. Maybe it just fits better. Going down. Father Comstock. Jesus and all the other historic figures of God all in one. All the biblical figures just wrapped into one statue with a blowing beard and everything. We'll take a look around. And in my womb shall grow the seed of the prophet. That's an honor, I suppose. But along with that honor, we're going to go ahead and grab some of your offerings, because we're going to need it more than this is. So this is a confessional. I guess you just confess to the podium in this case. Very pretty. A little sad looking though, you know. Oh, the voxophones. I love the voxophones. If there were ever a portable record player, this is what I'd want them to look like. I think there were.
Find the exit out of this place.
And we will, Booker. Give us some time. There were portable Victrolas and things like that, but they never looked like this. I think the only way they could have made this better, in any way, smaller at least, or more portable looking, is if they had placed it with the wax cylinders rather than the LPs. But I like the idea of the LP too, because that kind of fits with some of the other stuff we'll experience throughout the game. So the LP does actually fit versus a wax cylinder. Let's go ahead and pick it up and listen.
Love the prophet because he loves the sinner. Love the sinner because he is you. Without the sinner, what need is there for a redeemer? Without sin, what grace has forgiveness?
Is that like without evil, how can there ever be good? Because there's always a comparison between two things. If you only have good, you will have good and less good. If you have evil, only evil, you'll have evil and less evil. There's always a comparison. So you can never say what is good without evil, what is sin without you know, forgiveness and so on and so forth, there's always a negative to a positive, because not everything is perfect. Everything has to be balanced. Everything is in balance, but not everything is perfect. The Lamb, the future of our city. Well, that's what Sophia Lamb thought. We know how that turned out. But we'll go ahead and take everything because we're unscrupulous like that. Okay, I don't think there's any voxophones over in this area, but we'll take a look. I may miss a voxophone or two. I'll grab all the ones I know and all the ones I see, but if I find a new one, or if I miss one that I may have missed in the past, we'll just have to cope with that. The hat box is empty. And we stole some fiddle players' dollars, which is upsetting. Alright, so from here we'll head down. Now this...
Excuse me, where am I?
Heaven, friend. Or as close as we'll see till Judgment Day.
Best keep such questions to myself, unless I want to get made.
Good call, Booker, because we're not technically supposed to be here. So it's nice to see people who aren't trying to murder us right off the bat. No spliced upness, all pretty clean. Very, 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 very white. I worry about staircases like this, so I wonder if that's what this gentleman is here for, is to keep old people from falling down the very slippery steps. Because if anyone has ever seen steps that have water pouring down them for long periods of time, they will get slimy and slippery, and you will fall if you're not very careful. Gladium. Clavum. Volumen.
And every year, on this day of days, we recommit ourselves to our city and to our prophet, Father Comstock. We recommit through sacrifice and the giving of thanks, and by submerging ourselves in the sweet waters of baptism. And lo, if the prophet had struck down our enemies at wounded knee, and not railed against the Sodom beneath us, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just railed against the Sodom beneath us, but not accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders, and not prayed for our deliverance, it would have been enough. If the prophet had only prayed for our deliverance, and not led us to this new Eden, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just led us to the new Eden, and not purged the vipers of the Orient, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just purged the vipers of the Orient, but not suffered the sacrifice of his beloved, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just suffered the sacrifice of his beloved, but not expelled the vox populi, it would have been enough.
Well, that seems like enough to me. Very repetitive speech there, Father. Now, of course, he is talking about all the things that Father Comstock has done. And, of course, being such a great man that he is, everything he did was enough, but he always did more. And now that I look at it, I'm curious as to what the angel statues are holding in their hands, because they look a little bit like batons or microphones, and they make me a little bit nervous. So I'm not sure what they're holding on to. Not that it's important. This path of forgiveness is the only way to the city. Well, seems legit. Let's go ahead and head inside.
Is it someone new? Someone from the Sodom below, newly come to Columbia to be washed clean before our prophet, our founders, and our Lord?
I just need passage into the city.
Passage to the city. Brother, the only way to Columbia is through rebirth in the sweet waters of baptism. Will you be cleansed, brother?
It's either this or turn around and get back on that rocket. Might as well get it over with.
Come and be cleansed. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah, Father. Now, there's a couple of things here. One, I love that the Father is blind.
Come, let us cast the trickster out from you. Praise be the prophet. Praise the Lord. Come, let us wash the Sodom from your soul.
And the other is the fact that he says that someone new. I love that so much. That connection with the previous BioShocks.
I baptize you in the name of our prophet, in the name of our founders, and the name of our Lord. And make him born in the bosom of Columbia. I don't know, brothers and sisters, but this one doesn't look clean to me.
I'm pretty sure Father could drown us, and we'd never be clean.
Who's there? Who's there?
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
What do you want?
We had a deal to it. Open this door right now!
I told you! I'm not gonna do it! Go away!
Mr. DeWitt! Mr. DeWitt!
I love this desk. It is a perfect snapshot of DeWitt. The badge, the gun, the gambling slips, the racing forums, the booze, the cigarettes, everything on here. This desk just says, this is Booker DeWitt. That is so awesome. This is such a perfect thing. Now, of course, by erasing the debt, they mean the most likely the racing forums. But if you take a look around the room, you see all this stuff. He's got bags packed. He's got cards, probably for counting cards or practicing counting cards, which he fails at. He's got his military stuff up there. And then, of course, he's got a door that doesn't go anywhere. Food, you know, just basic office supplies, things like that. Booker DeWitt, investigations into matters both public and private. Well, let's open the door for him. That's no good. Incoming! Gentlemen, Father Franklin, Father Washington, and Father Jefferson.
That idiot priest needs to learn the difference between baptizing a man and drowning one.
There isn't much of a difference.
I need to find a landmark and figure out where the hell I am.
Well, we're here, and this is always a good start. Locate the Statue of Columbia. Alright. So again, back to the Buddhism form of worship, where they worship men, living men, who, you know, existed and performed actions in their life rather than worshiping God. But, couple of things. One, that's a major checkpoint. Two, that has actually been nearly time, which I love. And three, since this video is like the beginning of the game, we're going to go ahead and pause here so that we can get into the game proper in an upcoming video. For now, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Play of BioShock Infinite. And I will see you guys next video.